Welcome to the GainzCast. I'm Marc Lobliner with Matt Marano. We got a super extra awesome, very large special guest, and that is my man Hulkzilla. What's your full name?
Curt Leon Dennis Jr.
All right, but he's known as Hulkzilla because I'll say, man, my man Curt, and people are like, you mean Hulkzilla? I'm like, yeah, Hulkzilla. Yeah, that's it. That's it, that guy. Yeah, but I know him as Curt because I followed you on Facebook. We've known each other on Facebook, and it was funny. When I moved here, I didn't like tell people. I'm like, I thought people, and he's like, I didn't know you were here, and we actually found out. I'm like, hey, are you going to this rally down in downtown Franklin? Robbie Starbuck on Twitter. He's a conservative Republican. He's a friend of mine. He lives in the area, and he would put on this freedom rally. And I was like, you know what? That sounds like somewhere Curt would be. So I'm like, hey, bro, you going? He's like, yeah, my buddy's going to roll up there. I'm like, that's cool. We can hang out. Now, we live within probably 20 minutes of each other, and that's really cool. So, Curt, tell us more about yourself, man. What are you all about?
I've been lifting since I was 12 years old. I'm 40 now. I've competed in.
That's a good age. That's a very good age.
I've competed in powerlifting for the majority of that up until about 35, and then I started transitioning over to bodybuilding, and then I did my first bodybuilding show in 2018. Did the Kentucky Derby.
Okay.
Then the same year I did the Knoxville Classic in Knoxville.
Yeah.
And then last October I did the Flexless Classic in Murfreesboro.
Well, how'd that go? I was at that show. I didn't watch it. I was busy. Brandon was doing Brandon's thing. He won, and I was out there hanging out with Brandon and Brant and Brandy and all those people. So I didn't even go into the show. But how'd you do?
I got second place.
That's a stacked show. There were like 8 million people on stage. I saw. That was a stacked show. Like I would have gotten like last place.
It was definitely a stacked show, especially for bodybuilding. There was a lot of. I was expecting to see a lot more class physique guys.
Yeah,
because that's why I was seeing in all my other competitions I've been to. Either I was competing or I've actually was just going there to watch. I see a lot more class physique guys, but I was a little surprised to see a lot of bodybuilders, people competing bodybuilding at the show. So it was definitely stacked.
Matt, Tennessee is a bodybuilding heaven.
That's what I've heard.
Like in California, all those old Nancy boys, they get up there in their little board shorts and they strut around and look back at it and bite their lower lip. Tennessee is some hardcore tobacco chewing bodybuilders out here, man. I'll tell you what, I've never seen such stacked bodybuilding shows since I moved to the great state of Tennessee. So that's why if there's a civil war and there's a pose down, the South is definitely winning just because of Tennessee.
I mean, you just look at the talent that's coming out of Tennessee right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we did have Peyton Manning. Oh, yeah. We're talking about bodybuilding.
We're talking bodybuilding. No.
My bad. But so you're 40 years. How tall are you, Curt?
I'm 6'1".
6'1". You look about 6'5", but that's because
that's because we're short.
Yeah, we're really short. Jewish people aren't known for our height. Like we have Bill Goldberg, and that's really about it.
Okay,
we're known for our noses.
Yeah,
we've got that going.
If we look up, we're 7 feet tall.
If it was a nose size competition, we got you beat.
Oh no! You definitely got my. You definitely got me beat on that. Because my nose is not the same anymore. So
yeah, I mean, so what do you do? Like, what do you do for all day? What's your day?
Well, I actually speak. I mean, that's a good thing to bring up because I just started a armed security job this past week. So I've been training all week there.
Oh, awesome!
And it is armed, so I'm having my experience dealing with firearms.
Okay.
So and today we were taking apart a Beretta, taking it apart.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. I've never taken apart a gun in my life, but I loved it.
Really? Okay.
I wanted to keep doing it. I was like, man, this is awesome. It's hard to put it back together. It's awesome.
It's an experience. That's great, man. I'm happy for you. And I mean, if there's anybody who could definitely do, the whole, that's perfect. If there's anybody that can do the whole security business, you're the guy.
I've been doing security. I've been mostly doing unarmed security, but I've been doing it since I was 27.
Okay.
I did it in Birmingham, did it in Tuscaloosa, did it in Montgomery, did it in Chattanooga, and now I'm here still doing it.
So do you get a lot of action as a security guard? Like, do you get to take people, like how I'd imagine you're probably the guy who doesn't use force unless you absolutely have to, but I would imagine if I'm acting a fool, I don't care how drunk I am, and you tell me to stop it, I'm probably going to stop it. Now, do people still...
If I see a guy like Curt, I'm stopping immediately.
I'm just going to run the other way.
Well, I mean,
no, I'm not running. I'm just going to cower in terror.
Well, I mean, generally, 99% of people say that's what they thinking, but then you get that alcohol courage, and
that's true.
Everything changes because it just amplifies what your personality. So if you're a bit of an asshole, then it amplifies it tenfold.
So I don't drink.
Exactly.
Because I get my ass kicked by Curt.
But I have, I've actually, out of all the places I've worked at, I've seen a lot more action since I've come to do security here in Nashville. I used to work at Whiskey Row off Broadway.
Yeah.
And man, I saw a lot of action there.
So when you say action, what do you mean? Like when I say action on Broadway, it's girls flashing me their boobies. Your action sounds a little bit different than mine.
Well, considering that I had one kick, we call it kick out. Whenever we want to eject somebody from the bar, we call it a kick out. And I did a perfect double leg takedown. And it was out of nowhere, and it was like instinct. It was like, boom, I did a double leg takedown. And
Don't those just feel so satisfying when you nail like a perfect tackle?
Well,
like
see,
no matter where it is, no matter what you're doing, it's just like,
yes. See, here's the thing. It was like instinct. I didn't even think about it, and all of a sudden it was just like, boom. I just grabbed his legs, shoulders forward, brought him down, and then like some of the people, there was like two guys standing off to the sides, like, dude, that was a perfect takedown.
That's what we learn in rugby, and it doesn't happen 98% of the time.
No. You usually just have your head in someone's balls. And you usually just end up like you really
face in a nutsack, and my shoulder is dislocated. I don't know what's going on.
Sounds like Saturday to me.
Saturday's rugby day.
But I mean, and when I took him down, I was just like, right into the sternum, and then boom, I brought him down, and even like some of the guys I worked with, they're like, did Curt just do a double leg takedown? And he did it almost perfectly, and I was like, I have some mixed martial arts experience because I used to do it when I was a little younger.
Cool. What'd you train in? Just like all around, or?
I did boxing. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I did a little bit of Russian Sambo. I did some judo. Judo was very fun.
I did a little bit. He named 7 disciplines.
Yeah. To me, but right off the bat, he named the 2 that I would probably consider the most important. Like if
Boxing
you're going for
boxing?
striking, boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
Like if you want to have grappling, you need the Jiu-Jitsu, and if you want to have striking, boxing's the way to go, in my opinion.
Tell that to Conor McGregor, man.
Last time I saw his neck got cranked.
You're not gonna tell him anything. I mean, when you're the best at what you're doing, you're not gonna tell him anything.
No, he's not the best.
It's funny when I did Exos, I did my mentorship there, and we were actually at the time we were training some Division I football graduates in college. They were going to the combine, and if you can shave 0.1 off your 40, you make I think it's like $7 million more in your career. Or something. Wow.
So motivation to shave off that 0.1.
I would shave off my balls for that. But
you went fast just to make that happen.
Yeah, so we're watching. So the mentor puts us through this thing. We're watching Usain Bolt, and he tells us pick out everything wrong and that you tell him to fix about his running form. And so all of us wrote down bullshit to try and sound smart, including me. And then he goes, no, he's Usain Bolt. He's the fastest man in the world. You just let him fucking run. I'm like, damn.
Good question, bro. They got you.
I'm like, damn. Well, he could. Technically, you could point to. You could put a little bit more dorsiflexion, but at the end of the day, he's fucking Usain Bolt. That guy can. You can't coach that.
Yeah,
that can coach you. He is the man. But yeah, that's kind of my whole thing. But yeah, you sound like someone who can protect himself, who can protect others, and that's impressive, especially with everything going on in the world. It sounds like you've taken more of a stance in the in the social media community as a masculine figure, as someone who's telling other men to stand up for their beliefs, for what they believe in.
Which is definitely not the norm anymore, unfortunately.
It seems like we've been taken over by skinny jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Curt, we have so much I want to ask you. It's crazy. But so how did you get to this level?
Level of...
How did you get to that mindset where, okay, it's time for men to be men again, or it's time for them to be men in the first place. And maybe like your whole mindset, what I see you put forward, like we can't be pushed around. We have to fight back for what we believe in. What drove you to get to that?
Actually, I have been talking about this kind of stuff for like the last 5 years. And, it's just really like common sense to me because of, how I was raised. Men are supposed to be the protectors, they're supposed to be the defenders. They're supposed to, when you've built something like a home, you should be protecting it. Regardless.
Yeah, you're right.
That is your home. You should have. It makes sense to me, but you have people today that it doesn't make sense to because of the fact that they've been pussified really by the media and it's toxic masculinity. It's too much. And I remember seeing this thing off of I think it was Ian Smith's Instagram. I can't remember. He was tagged in it actually.
By the way, I'm wearing his shirt.
Yeah.
I know.
that was very good.
Well
it almost
placed.
looks like you guys planned that.
I definitely didn't. I woke up and just grabbed a shirt out of my drawer this morning.
It looks nice. It's a good shirt.
Well, we're kind of color coordinating here.
Well, I like red.
Black and red's kind of the theme around here.
It's kind of our thing here. Yeah,
So I kind of came in dress code, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. We didn't even have to send you a memo or anything. We kind of knew. We knew there'd be some red, some white, and some blue. Maybe, at least two of the three.
There you go.
Yeah, we knew it'd be there. So,
but it was. I was talking about it for a long time because there are things I was seeing just in regular life. Guys that were, once they, get into a relationship, for instance, they pull back on the masculinity a good bit just to, I guess, maintain the relationship.
Really?
And then and I've seen it a lot. I've seen when that happens, then it's like they're surprised when she is cheating on them. It's like, hey, you pull back on what she, liked about you. And now she's going to someone else, like, again, you've always heard these stories about how, women will fall for the assholes.
yeah.
And typically speaking, guys are assholes by nature.
We are.
But to a certain degree.
Yeah.
We spoke about this last podcast.
We talked about
too.
this with
Yeah,
Brandy,
it's just like
and-
it's the way we're hardwired.
And men are biologically programmed to procreate. We are biologically programmed to inseminate. We can get 10 girls pregnant a day. Women can give birth once every 10 months. So it's a biological drive, and you're fighting it every step of the way. But I'm a big fan of the nuclear family, so I'm all about fighting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you absolutely are correct. Now, when you say they become pussified, what characteristics are these men losing? Or are they sacrificing to keep these women? Like what are the characteristics that they are sacrificing?
They're sacrificing things that every man needs to be a man day in, day out, working on themselves mentally, physically, that's the first thing they stop doing. They stop progressing as men because, once they stop progressing, they feel, I'm in a perfect relationship. There's no reason for me to continue to progress.
Yeah.
So they stop it. They stop, going to the gym. They stop, going to the firing range. They stop all these other things. And then they become so absorbed with their relationship. But then, again, I've seen it a lot where the girl's like, and then she starts kind of looking, and then she sees that guy just kind of doing whatever he wants. That's doing whatever he wants, having a great time, being a man.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, she's attracted to that all of a sudden,
Yeah.
That's like winning a championship and then just stopping the habits that got you to the dance in the first place.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
And that's the guys working on themselves day in and day out, improving themselves mentally, physically, even spiritually. Those things still matter even when you're in a relationship.
I have 3 kids, and I've been with my wife forever, like longer than I can even count. And the thing is, after I'm in the best shape of my life, and I've been married. We've been together since 2002, bro. That's like more. I can't even do the math. It's so long. Like we've been together.
That's 18 years.
Yeah, damn it. He can beat my ass, and he knows math better than me. I'm just playing. About the math part,
I'm gonna need your Jew card.
We have
cards?
Last time
They're
they gave us tattoos.
We got tattoos and armbands.
Hey, I don't know what they're doing in New York, bro. Actually, I do. But you know, the thing is, I'm in the best shape of my life, and I feel, and this is just me, and looking around at everything going on, I want to know that I don't even need a weapon. Now, I have firearms. You are surrounded by firearms in this house, and at the end of the day, I want to know that even if we don't have a firearm, that I can protect my family. I'm in the best shape of my life. I took up boxing. It made me more motivated to be in better shape because now I'm not only defending myself, but I'm defending my family. Every man has an obligation.
Exactly.
An obligation to physically, emotionally, and spiritually protect their family. It is not about looking good. Looking good's great. You know, my wife, you know, I'll be real, man. I have 3 kids that play competitive soccer. And a lot of the dads are in really good shape. There's a pretty affluent. You notice a difference in communities. Affluent communities normally take better care of themselves.
Yeah.
And Brentwood, everybody's obviously 2% body fat. This place is so fucking rich.
But that's the mentality.
But I think they realize that they perform better because they've fallen off. But most of the dads that I've met throughout the years gave up. And they always have a story. Oh, you know, I had this, I had that, my back hurt. Dude, my back hurts every goddamn day. My knees hurt. Everything hurts. I know you're hurting at 40 because I'm hurting at 40. So, but you go because it makes, if you stop, that's when it stops hurting. But it's not all about the looks. People look at us and all they say is, oh, you're narcissistic, you're this or that. And I'm like, look, dude, when my wife and I are walking down the street, she ain't afraid of someone kicking my soy eating ass.
Exactly.
You eat soy?
I like
That was a good one.
I was referring to me if I did eat soy. Is soy kosher? So I completely agree with you. So,
But to that point, it's like, you know, when I'm working at a bar, for instance.
yeah.
I'll give you an example. I see it happens all the time. I'll have, you know, guys just walk up to me like, wow, my goodness, like, you're so huge.
That was me.
Yeah. and it's like,
Every time it's Mark in a different costume.
I'm wearing a mask. You can't tell it's me. I'm saving lives, bro. Saving fucking lives.
but it's like, you know, they walk up to me and it's like, they look at me like I'm an alien from another planet. It's like, I'm sitting there like, why are you not doing what I'm doing? Like, this is like, I shouldn't get props for this. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the presence I'm supposed to have as a man. That's not something that you should just get a pat on the back for. I'm sitting there like, why are you not doing it? That's my problem.
If you look at the animal kingdom, the lions with the biggest mane are the ones that are the kings of the jungle.
Are you saying because I have the beard right now, I'm the king of the jungle?
Listen, I'm right there with you, bro.
Okay.
However, you're larger than me, so you'd kick my ass. There's no.
I'm really lacking facial hair in this discussion. I mean, I don't even have hair on my balls, man. This ain't even fair. I mean, this is just wrong, and I feel inadequate. You guys are obviously anti-Semitics.
So are you saying we have beard privilege right now? Yeah. Is that what it is?
We need that on a t-shirt ASAP.
Beard privilege. I'm sure it's been done. It's got to have been done.
If not, I'll do it.
Yeah, you need. I will trademark it and hand it to you. That's how much I'm confident that you deserve that name.
I can make the design. So
you know what's funny? I saw you pull up here in your car, and I saw the Biden-Harris bumper sticker. How long have you been a Democrat?
The fuck?
Just kidding.
I know you are. That's why I didn't say anything.
So that brings me to so we got the whole masculinity. This ties in really well. And we've seen kind of a counterculture where you don't really see, other than The Rock, which obviously it was a bought and paid for situation, a lot of masculine dudes and stuff come out and be for Biden. I'm not going to say against. I think right now in this election, I think everybody can realize it's not really Biden versus Trump. It's Trump versus not Trump.
Exactly.
And whether you want to admit it or not, nobody wants to see that senile, creepy old pedophile as the president. And if you say you do, you're lying.
I think most people who vote for Biden are kind of just hoping he goes away and then Harris takes over.
Which is terrible.
Well, no, it's terrible, But they're looking at it like, all right, well, it's still not Trump.
Here's one thing that you brought that up. I saw a video of a guy. I think his name's Cash Kelly on Instagram, and he was he pulled out his phone because he was speaking to a buddy of his that was voting for Biden, and he sat there and he basically said, "Okay, so why are you voting for Biden?" He says, "Well, he's got to be better than Trump," and he's like. So that's your only reason. Like he says, yeah, and then he started educating him left and right, and then about the he brought up the whole racism thing. He's like, yeah, bro, Trump's not racist. I was like, I could take this phone off live video right now, and I can go to YouTube and pull up anything involving Biden and racism on YouTube, and you will find that he's blatantly racist.
Oh yeah, there's Trump. I'm not going to say he's not racist, but I'm going to say there's a question, right? Right. Biden is literally like he is a certified like he's like it's like walking around Nazi Germany with a swastika on your arm, being like, I love Jews. The guy's just a racist, and the fact that the media is trying to portray a person he is not.
Exactly.
And that's what's scary. But the good thing, and we talked about this earlier today, Matt, is that the media, like I was on a primetime show on Fox called American Grid. It got 1 million views an episode. I get more views on my YouTube channel.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, we try to forget it. But you're one of the 3 people who watch, but I had better ratings on my YouTube channel. And if you look at like Jack Posobiec, who's at like 1 million followers, and Cernovic's at like 700,000, and you look at the right wing, even Jesse Kelly, all these guys, like, and even Robbie Starbuck, like if you put them together, they crush CNN, MSNBC ratings. Tucker Carlson gets more ratings than all of their shows combined. So I think the media...
He gets more ratings than NBA basketball right now.
Yeah, you're right. Dude, Tucker crushed head-to-head the finals.
Yes.
Yeah, sports aren't where it's at anymore.
Nah.
Something happened.
I can't watch it. No. I mean...
I can't watch it either.
Bro, Curt, the first time I went to a sport game since the COVID thing was my daughter's high school soccer game. And all I see on TV is people kneeling for the anthem. And I went there and the anthem played, and I expected to look across and see somebody kneeling. And they all stood, and I actually got choked up.
Really?
I actually got choked up. I was like, I'm gonna freaking cry, because for me, I'm a first generation American. My mom came here. We're very fortunate to be in this country, and our country has faults. Like our country's history is pretty messed up, but every country has a history of stupid stuff. Like every single one, like the Spanish conquistadors.
But the United States is actually like the youngin out of all.
Yes,
so it's a young country, and people don't realize that. And it's like, we are not a perfect country.
No.
Other countries have did things either the right way and stayed that path, and did things the wrong way and stayed on that path. We are, like I said, we're still a growing country. We're still young. We're still, trying to, figure shit out, but it still doesn't stop people from coming over here. Yeah. Because they figure, okay, well, it's got to be better over here than it is over there, over where I'm at. Yeah. And I remember Arnold, he posted up a video around about 4th of July week and just talking about his experience coming to America, talking about his bodybuilding journey, and then talking about, his acting career, and then his time as a politician. And he was just saying, listen, I basically had all these opportunities when I came over here, and he doesn't see what everybody else is seeing. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, hey, this is still a great country. As if I wouldn't be saying this just to be saying it. I'm saying it because it's true. He says, I've been able to do all these things.
It's such a great place. And I've traveled the world, and I've seen other countries, and even the ones that I really like. I love Australia. I was actually looking into moving there from 2010 because I had a great business opportunity. And I'm really glad I didn't, because America gets better every year. 2020, in my opinion, if you look, we're going to look back at history. We're going to look at bad decisions, but we're going to look at a country that overcame, persevered, and for those who wanted to, we got better.
Yeah, exactly.
We grew. Like, we had this discussion all the time, like my business partner and I, why are our companies thriving and others aren't? And it's because we worked. When stuff hit the fan, we literally had our company dwindle down to we never had to do it. Luckily, we grew. But God forbid the government decided to do something weird, which they're going to do.
All right.
We had it where we were down to 2 employees in Ohio, myself and Chad, literally quarantined in the warehouse working, and Randall in Vegas alone. And we figured between the 3 of us, we could ship out about 400 to 600 orders a day if we worked 16 hours a day. Then my wife would stay here and handle operations.
Right.
That was but that's what Americans do. We see it, we see the challenges, and we overcome. And that's why you see these little soy boys like Alec Baldwin and these crying liberals like, if Trump wins, I'm leaving. Yet they never fucking leave.
I basically heard a lot of these guys saying the same shit 4 years ago, and I'm like, why are you still here?
Yeah, just leave, just go.
You keep saying it like it's a threat, and we're waiting for you to go. There was a meme I posted up. You remember when they were like being upset because they were replacing the Supreme Court?
Yeah,
ACB, and people were like saying, if you do that, we're gonna riot. We're gonna have a complete war. And then there was something at the bottom. It was a scene out of Caddyshack, the first film. The old man, the old rich man was like,
well.
Yes,
we're waiting.
Exactly. We're waiting.
The thing is, they riot in places that they know they're not going to get fucked up.
They riot in places where there's a Democratic control.
Bingo. I mean, there's another way to put it, because in Philly, we just read this before you came here. In Philly, they banned the use of tear gas while the cops are getting shot at. Tear gas is the only, like, how else are you going to break up a crowd? Ask them politely to stop stealing shit. Like, I mean, it's one of the things I'm just looking, I'm like, this is a clown world.
Don't steal.
Yeah.
Go home.
If he
take a breather.
If he did it, it'd be
that's
okay.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what they're wanting. They're like, listen, if you need to talk, okay, we can talk, but don't steal this stuff. Okay.
That's why you need the psychologist, the social worker with the cop. Oh man, that's insane.
And it is. It doesn't make sense to me because, and like I said, I didn't know this until early this year that there was a pattern with human beings. There's going to be some sort of pattern.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are all these riots breaking out in all these certain places? And then it's like realizing that a lot of them are Democratic controlled cities, which a lot of your major cities are. And that's partly part of our fault because we've been so laxed as far as who we've put in office.
Yeah, I've never voted for a local election. Never. I only cared about the president, and I pretend to be this patriot. I'm a piece of shit. And this year I realized that. There's 2 things that happened this year.
You're not the only one that's done that. Everybody's done
but
that.
I'm at a fucking podcast. I mean, the thing is, like, 2020 was the most enlightening year of my life because I got to reflect. Actually, 2016, when my wife and I went to counseling, fixed our marriage, was by far the most enlightening year because I realized I'm a jerk. 2020 has allowed me, first of all, I became pro-life. I've been pro-choice my entire life. So I had time to think about that. It took me literally 10 years of just learning about the stats. And I'm not going to make this about that because obviously this is about you today. And then, also I realized this year that Tennessee, man, other than some part, even in Nashville, like masks, whatever, we're pretty much free.
Yeah.
But you go to California, you go to some of these crazy states.
California is an absolute. California and New York are just shit shows.
Yeah, I just left there.
They're just shit. Did you not know? And I did not know this. It was a few weeks ago I found out about this, and I was like, how are people going forward into 2021 are going to want to visit New York City? And I'll tell you why. They recently shut down their sanitation department. Because the guy was doing the video, and I can't remember where I saw it. It was on Instagram. I can't remember where I saw it.
Yeah.
But the guy was doing a video of some of the areas in New York where there was trash on every corner.
Let me tell you, 2 weeks ago, I was working a job in construction in New York City. I just moved down.
Did you see this stuff like with the trash and all the corners?
I saw a lot of weird shit in New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that because the guy was doing an interview stating that they're broke. They can't afford to pay these guys to pick up trash.
That's what happens when you can't manage a city.
Yeah.
And it's gonna fall down on the residents.
But see going forward, because before this year, people all over the world will go to New York City.
Oh yeah.
Los Angeles, Chicago, all these major metropolitan cities because these are tourist attractions.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, now because of what these Democratic mayors have done, you know, somebody over in Australia is going to sit there and be like, no, we're not going to New York. We're not going to Los Angeles. We're damn sure not going to Chicago.
Nope. On that note, guys, break. So I see you a lot getting out. You do your Patriot walks down in Nashville. I actually saw you at Starbucks event here, which was awesome, by the way. That was a great event. So again, like it's rare, like you see Trump rallies across the nation, and I'm 40. We're the same age, basically, right? I've never seen excitement for politics like I've seen it before, and I've never seen. And whether he wins or loses, I don't have a crystal ball. I can make my guess. You can make your guess, based on the. I was in California talking about a shit show. I saw 4 fucking Trump rallies. 4 Trump rallies in random areas in California just sprung up.
Oh, no, because the people out there are fed up.
They are.
They're done. They're fed up. I mean, a lot of things have happened this year. They're fed up. Did you not stop? I remember 4th of July. I can't remember what city this was, but the mayor had mandated that there be no fireworks.
Yeah.
And
dude, they let it off.
Exactly. We were like, fuck yeah, that is what we're talking about. They were letting off fireworks all over the place. They're like, well, we can't figure out where all these fireworks are coming from. Like, good luck finding out because everybody's popping them off.
And that's the thing is that, you know, it is the power in numbers kind of thing. And the thing is, like, so you go to one of these pride rallies. I'm going to call it a patriot rally. Is that the correct terminology?
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of, you know, I've only recently, again, I haven't voted in a gubernatorial election in my life. I've been involved. I've known what's going on. I'm a fan of history. I can recite you presidents, what Polk did, what Wilson did. I've learned about that, but I never took as much notice as I did till after the lockdowns. What the lockdowns made me realize is that all this is going to get overturned. Our good friend Ian is going to win a lot of money. Yes. A ton of money. But the thing is, the courts will take, and we know this from judicial or action in our industry. We got a case now with a large company owner that has been going on for 7 years. And he's going to do jail time most likely based on what I know about the law. Okay. And the group, not him, but somebody in that group is going to do some time. Right. But you're looking at 4 or 5 years. I knew a guy who owned a contract manufacturing. It took the government 5 years. So the legal process, the judicial system moves extremely slow. It does. But it usually gets it right. But the problem is we have these mandates that are completely unconstitutional that are going to take 12 to 24 months to even overturn. So we're giving up 2 years of our life of freedom, of making money, of going out, of our kids going to school because some overzealous tyrant like that fucking bitch Whitmer in Michigan just decides that, well, she's got public health in mind. What about the suicide rate? Where's the flu? You know the CDC stopped counting the flu? They don't even record it anymore.
No. Right when all the lockdown started and then they started calculating all these cases, the first thing that came to my mind, where are we at on the flu cases? This was me and my brother was thinking about earlier this year. We were wondering, where are the flu cases at? How many are we looking at there?
Oh no, my big one is, I mean, the flu you can correlate, like, okay, they're mistaking the flu for COVID. The big one here for me, the number one leading cause of death, heart disease, greatly decreased. Those stats.
That's me. Yeah. And then it's like,
and the overall death is not higher. We're like where we were. Yeah. Margin of difference. By the way, I forgot, I haven't had one of these since we launched them. The peppermint cookies and cream outright bar. I'm going to get you a box on the way out.
Okay, cool. I can't wait.
I'm like, we have like 25 flavors. I'm serious. I didn't mean to do this. I'm serious. I was going to just eat it. But my son eats these, and I'm like, I never eat them because, you know, the peppermint just looks kind of girly, you know, and it's pink. And so I'm like, damn, that's good. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. I'm literally just excited because I was hungry. But, you know, here's the thing I noticed. Like, my mom was a drug addict, and my dad died from complications of type 2 diabetes. Okay? Those are two things. Like my mom would be, if she wasn't a drug addict, she'd more likely to be on drugs. If she is a drug addict, less likely to get help. And my dad would have died much earlier because they're not allowing my dad's kidney transplant would have been considered elective. They would have let him fucking die now we've had COVID. Have you had COVID? Okay, then we can't give it to you. But wait, on a tangent.
You see the way he said, we can't give it to you.
I don't wear masks. I don't wear condoms. When you were a kid, did your mom have pox parties for you? No. For the chicken pox?
I don't wear condoms. Tell me about your mom.
The thing is, my parents.
What about your parents? Tell us about your parents.
Well, both my parents, both my mother and father are living in Montgomery, Alabama.
Nice.
Originally, my dad was from Camden, Alabama, and my mom was from Woodbine, Georgia. Not to go into a really long story, but my dad moved to Ohio, which is where I was born. I was born in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
And my mom stayed down in Alabama, and she went to school. Eventually, when I was, in the oven, so to speak, my mom decided she was going to move up north with my dad and, of course, start a family. And my dad was, ironically, he was doing security.
Well, there you go.
His whole for most of my young life, he was doing security, and he went to work for a company called Consolidated Stores, which is the company that does the warehousing for big lots.
Okay.
So he was doing that in Ohio, and my mom was more into the mental health. Mm-hmm. Working at the homes and everything, because I remember going to those homes, every day after school because she was still working. Mm-hmm. And so I would always hang out at these places. So I was pretty familiar with that. And eventually my dad took a job in Montgomery, Alabama. So we all moved to Montgomery in 97.
Okay.
And then he helped build up the Consolidated Stores plant that's down there in Montgomery before he got let go. And then this is something that I definitely want to kind of bring up too, because my dad was a hardworking man. Like, he always worked.
Yeah.
But he was always stressed. He didn't have like much of a balance. Like, whenever he got home, he wanted to sleep. He wanted to just chill out. I mean, the man's working, 10, 12, maybe 14, 16-hour days. So, last thing he wants to do is, try to relax or have fun. He's like, okay, I got to go to sleep because I got to get back and go to work. And then it was, I think it was in like 98, he got into a car accident. Car accident while he was trying to deal with like trying to handle the funeral arrangements for his father by himself. And, that's just something, and I can kind of relate to that because he was trying to do everything himself, like a man would. And most men have an issue trying to ask for help. Okay.
Yeah.
So he got into a car accident. He had an aneurysm. He already had high blood pressure, and then he apparently it was revealed that he was a type 2 diabetic. And that was mostly because of poor eating. Anytime he ate, it wasn't good. Yeah. So definitely, and I was kind of glad that they started actually paying attention to what they ate. Yeah. They ate now, because living at home with them, I'm knowing when we're eating a lot better. Yeah. So, because when we moved to Alabama, we were, we were eating a lot of country food because, living in Ohio, you didn't really come across that much.
You get the country food, man.
The country food gets addicting.
That gives you the itis.
But then he kind of started realizing that he, was now at a point in his life where he was going to have to start relaxing because, his high blood pressure was an issue that he had to constantly monitor and address, and that was him just trying to relax and whatnot. So, he started taking up fishing, which was surprising to me. I was like, I didn't think he was into fishing. But he started taking up fishing, started having a good time with that, and start relaxing because I was the middle child out of 3 kids.
Okay.
So my sister has kids, so he likes spending time with the kids. So
That's awesome.
But he started realizing that you had to start relaxing more in life, which I'm glad he's doing. But it kind of taught me a lesson that sometimes you can work your ass off as much as you want to, but you also have to still have that little bit of downtime, because then like my dad, you start contracting issues like high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was from stress.
So your parents are still together?
Yes.
Oh, so you grew up in a dual parent household.
Yes.
And so looking at society, and I make this argument a lot, and my wife and I, we were going through tremendous, you would never tell, like we're like best friends. Like our social media is exactly how we are.
Okay.
Like we talk a lot of
That's
shit.
good. That's good.
We have a lot of fun. We work together. We argue. Matt gets to fucking unfortunately see it. And because I obviously we talk to each other different than we talk to our employees.
Well, arguing. The thing is, arguing is good.
Yeah, but she's always wrong. But
you're always right.
Now she was actually right. Like,
as long as we got that on.
But I mean, when my wife and I had issues, my first inclination was actually a bitch move. I want to just move on. And she wanted to keep the family together. My wife's much more socially conservative than I am. And at least she was. And so we went through counseling, and it was the greatest thing we could ever do. And it wasn't because we liked each other. I hate to say, at least not on my part. It was because I wanted my kids to have the advantage. And the disadvantage, I think we're looking at statistics, inner city household, I'm not going to say race, but you kind of guess what race it was on. In the 60s, the civil rights movement, 77% of inner city families were dual parent. Now it's down to 22%. 22%. And we can't blame, I think we can all agree on the left, right, and the middle that we are not more racist than we were in 1960. We don't have segregation. We don't have separate water fountains. And by the way, Joe Biden did not want to end segregation. He was vehemently against ending segregation. He didn't want his kids to grow up in a quote unquote racial jungle. Yep. But that's besides the point. It pains me because a lot of the issues and I grew up in Inglewood, California, so I understand, I know more about that neighborhood than I do about Brentwood.
Right.
I'm from a different wood.
This is kind of like Hollywood to you.
This is like, how the hell, like it's a culture shock. Living in these areas because it's not where I grew up, and people act different and they get mad at stupid stuff. Like, if you don't get shot at, that's a good day in Inglewood. If they mess up your Starbucks order, it's the worst day ever.
How dare
Brentwood. How dare they? My coffee was wrong. They put too much creamer in there. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, now I know why people hate y'all. It's like,
and the funny thing, you brought that up because when I was growing up, again, these are things that as a kid I wasn't aware of. Okay, but when I lived in Columbus, I didn't realize I was living in a quote unquote hood. I didn't know.
No.
When it was funny when I actually moved out of there. That's when I realized what it was. And
that place was dangerous. Oh my God.
Yeah, I was living in the west side of Columbus. I was in the same part of town as West Side Barbell. Didn't know it when I was living there.
Yeah,
I drove by the gym every day because I was on a school bus. I drove by the gym every day. They had the blacked out windows. Didn't think about it, and then it was about when I moved to Alabama and I saw the pictures. Like, I drove by there.
Damn it.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a drug den.
It kind of is.
But the thing was, I didn't even know until I saw the pictures, and I was like, wait, I drove by there every day after school on a school bus, and I was always curious, why do they have the windows blacked out? And I was like, then it was like I saw the pictures, and I was like, that's why.
So what is your thought on the parent situation? Is that does that go back to the man thing?
It does, because the thing is that and I've seen it a lot, and I have a younger sister that has been a single mom for most of her adult life, and granted, she does a great job raising the kids, okay? But the thing is that the problem that you come across is that when there's not a man there,
yes,
there is issues with authority that you have. You want to buck at authority every time because, well, who the hell are they to tell me what to do?
Yeah.
So when there's not a man presence there in their lives, then they don't have any direction because they don't know what they're going to do, and it goes back to the authority thing. and then they fall to the wayside. When it's a single mom, they the mom can only do so much by herself.
It's so tough, and I respect the hell out of single moms.
I agree. I know. I agree.
Statistically, there's outliers, and there's a lot of great people who come from single parent households. But if you're looking at from giving your kid the best possible opportunity, you have an incremental, a statistically significant, huge difference between single parent and dual parent households.
Right.
Huge difference.
Right.
So
and that was, like I said, my sister does a great job because she was raised with a mom and a dad, and so she had those expectations already. But the one thing that I'm seeing now is that you have single moms, that have kids, and then the kids repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
They end up single. And it's a repetitive pattern, and again, without that, because my dad was legitimately an asshole growing up. He was the no man. He was the one person you didn't go to if you want to go on a field trip. You always go to mom. Mom's going to say yes.
I feel you. Yeah.
But it's like if you go to dad, it's like no. You go to mom. Well, yeah, this is fine. I'll talk to your daddy about it when he comes around. I'll talk to your daddy. You can do it. They're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm all for it. And the thing is, your dad, being that stern gentleman, gave you your discipline.
Yes.
And he gave you a lot of your tools. And that kind of makes me think, like, as you became who you are today.
And not to cut you off, but
no,
I always tell this story all the time because of the victimization that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Okay? And I've told this story in my podcast a few times, and I like telling it because it's an example of what happens when you do have a father figure in the household. And I remember, I'm not sure how you guys were with the report cards, but
pretty bad.
Well, I mean, in the Columbus public school system, they would do report cards every semester, but they always do these progress reports. All you get is satisfactory, unsatisfactory.
Fuck those progress reports.
Same.
Okay, so we had one of those. We had that progress report. Okay, and it was me, my younger sister, and my older half brother. We were all congregate on the school bus. We're like, what'd you get on yours? Because what ends up happening is that if one of us had an unsatisfactory or more, we're all fucked. Okay. So, and if you did, we always try to congregate to try to come up with a viable excuse to tell dad, because dad has to see it.
It's teamwork.
We can't slide it by mom, because mom's like, no, you gotta show your daddy.
It's teamwork. I like it.
Yeah, because it's like because we will try to get by on that. Like, hey, we'll slide the mom. Like, no, you gotta show your daddy. And so we were congregating one day, and my half brother had two unsatisfactories on his progress report, and so we were like, oh man, come on, man, like, and then he was like, man, I had these issues with this teacher, man, I don't think this teacher likes me and everything. I was like, well, yeah, just tell dad that. I mean, dad will understand, So we get home and we're all standing in the doorway of the bedroom like 10 soldiers, and we're like, okay. And he's like, progress report. Okay, here we go. I'm good. My sister does it. Okay, she's good. My brother's like, all right, here we go. See if this is going to work. Okay. Progress report. He's like, all right, so what's going on right here with the math? And he's like, oh, well, the teacher just the teacher doesn't like me for some reason. It's like, it's always giving me a hard time, and it's like I'm trying my best and everything. And he's like, all right, so you're having a hard time with the teacher, right? He's like, yeah. How come you ain't say anything before now? And like just like right now, there's a dead silence. Okay, because he's like, okay, so here's another question. What does that have to do with you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And again, another dead silence. And we're like, oh crap, that's not working. So then it's like, okay, so here he says we're going to have an hour of study time every day after school. So you're not going to go outside. Okay. And this is now going into the fall. So guess what? When you come home from school and you got an hour in the house, it looks like this outside right now. So you can't go outside. So, but the really when he asked them those questions, it was like, okay, you still have to own up for what you were supposed to be doing. And that was kind of the lesson right there. It was like, okay. And then fast forward to me going into 8th grade. When I got to school that day, I had this one kid that was just talking trash, and I got in my feelings, and I hit him. Right then when I did that, I was like, why did I do that? I was like, the bell hasn't rung yet, and I'm already going home for the day. So, of course, my mom gets the phone call, and then she has to come pick me up from school. And, of course, the dreaded words, okay, well, you know what the deal is. I'm going to go to work, but you're going to have to talk to your dad when he gets home. He already knows about everything. I was like, oh, goodness. So from like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning until about 5 in the afternoon, I'm sitting there just pacing around. And I'm like, you can't think about anything else other than what dad's going to say when he gets home. And, of course, my dad had rules. He's like, listen, fights are going to happen. Sure enough. I do not. It's like starting fights are unacceptable. But if they start a fight with you, I expect you to finish it. Okay, fair enough. Well, apparently I was on the other end of that. I started the fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was basically just nervous, and I sat there, and I am sitting here trying to come up with excuses to try to victimize myself. Okay, now of course the principal didn't see everything. She's seen after the fact, so she didn't know everything. So my dad comes home, and I just owned up to it. I was like, I hit the guy first. I knew better. I shouldn't have done it. It was I knew after I did it, it was wrong. Yeah. And my dad was kind of like, okay, all right. Well, I mean, you accepted responsibility, so and now why I said that you do not start fights. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to be suspended for 3 days. I'm not going to go to school for 3 days. So he's like, well, you're still going to be on punishment. I was like, yeah, okay, that's better than getting a belt across my ass if I lie.
Yeah.
The initial reaction is always worse than the long-term punishment.
It is.
When, at least in my childhood, when dealing with parents, it was always like that emotional, getting yelled at was always so much worse than being like, okay, well, you don't have TV for 2 days.
You never got hit by
that has happened growing up, but it happens whenever you lie, because then that's when my dad just gets so loud and just raises hell.
Yeah, I didn't learn that till like yesterday.
Yeah, that's
and then of course then you get the belt across your butt, and it's like that's like, okay, let's just get this over with, because I'm not getting out of this. But I just sat there and was just like, I'm not gonna lie to him. I'm just gonna tell him straight up the truth, And granted, parents knows every parent knows when your kids are lying to you. So I sat there and was like, I ain't gonna lie to him. I'm just gonna tell him straight up. So yeah, I was on punishment. I didn't get a belt across my butt, but now because I was suspended for 3 days, I had to pretty much play maid in the house.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I had that. So my kids they still try to lie, and they always get caught. They're really, really, really bad at it. Like, and so one time, and Thomas and all of them, it's like, no, the other kid did it. The other kid. I'm like, look. If you just tell the truth at the first, like, I'm not gonna get you in trouble. We'll explore it. And so, like, I forgot which. I think it was Thomas. He did something like stupid, And I'm like, and he told me straight up. He's like, "Yep, that was me. My bad. Apologize." And I was like, "This warrants punishment." But I literally told the kid, if he tells me the truth, like, Dad, I went out and I murdered somebody. So I had to kind of. I'm like, okay,
you gave him the out.
I'm like, this time we're good. But next time, even if it's just going to be a way lesser punishment than if you say nothing. So that's a great.
But see, that was like, when like my mom said, whenever we would be in trouble for something like breaking a precious glass plate set, and then it's like my mom's like, if you tell the truth will set you free. It was almost like the truth will set you free, and then we'll still be lying about it.
It's just you get so scared that old common sense goes out the door, and you just start lying. And it's you see it all the time. You see it and a lot of you see it in real life. You see it with celebrities. You see when UFC guys or NFL guys get caught doping. We were just talking about Sly was the greatest doping scandal ever because they caught him with all that GH going in Australia.
Yeah.
So I remember he did the 60 Minutes interview like, Sly, are you taking G? He's like, fuck yeah, I'm taking GH. He's like, that's just fucking great. Look at me. I'm like 65. I look like I'm 20. I'm like, that's how you own it, man.
Exactly. You own, yeah.
And like, okay, so I think we can all agree that Hunter Biden is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So here's how I would have done it. Like, this is how I would have handled it. I would have been like, look, my son deals with, and so many people are affected by drug abuse. My son's an addict, and we need to get him help. But I love him, and if he made mistakes, I own up as his father for his mistakes, and I apologize for whatever lack. I bet you America, I would be like, that's some man shit.
Exactly.
Instead, he's like, Trump, MAGA. You killed 250,000 people in pandemic death. They failed to so every other country's president killed whatever. What about Boris? How many people did he kill? Right. Sweden's obviously fucking mass murders. So it's like, you can't have it both ways. So looking at that, so I noticed that you're involved in, I would consider you a guy who is a patriot. I'd also, if I was to say a Republican or somebody who's going to probably vote down party lines this year, am I correct in assuming that? Or is that assuming something based on appearance incorrectly?
Well, I mean, would I be voting for a Republican?
Basically, are you voting for Trump?
Yes.
Okay, because that's pretty much the Republican Party right
now.
No.
I know that.
Well, I mean, the rest of them suck. And so why?
I held a interview. I'm not sure if you saw it. It was on the news here in Nashville last week. Where the lady asked, why was I voting for Trump? And I'm like, and to me, again, it was just very simple for me to the answer. I was like, it's like a job interview. Who's better for the job right now? Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there like, Biden, not so much.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty simple, Democrat versus Republican, and it boils down to a couple things. And I don't know if you stand with me on this. One, I'm a pretty isolationist. I like the fact we have no new wars. That's the first thing that I really like. Why Obama had us fucking around in Syria, I couldn't tell you. I don't want to see men and women's life lost to, basically pump more money into the military-industrial complex.
Exactly.
Number two is the Second Amendment. I believe once we give up guns, we have a very, very, very a very horrible percentage chance of becoming the next tyrannical government, aka Hitler and Stalin. And the first, if you look at history, and I'm a history buff, first thing you do is they disarm the people and they burn history, aka taking down statues and all that good stuff. And even I don't give a shit about Confederate statues, but you can't erase history. You can't just press a button and erase it.
Exactly.
History's there. In American history, we need to learn it. And the fact is, we did some stupid shit back in the day,
but we learned from it. That's the thing. Yeah. We've learned from. There's a reason why. There's a reason why you have to look so hard for racism. Why? Because it's not actually there.
So here's the thing. Okay, you're evidently. I'm just gonna say what everybody's thinking. You're a very large black man. You're extremely large, really large black guy, and you're at these patriot rallies. So number one is, how are you treated? And how are you treated by the people at these rallies? The Trump people, the MAGA people. How do they treat you?
They love it. They absolutely love it, but they're not seeing the skin color.
You think they don't care about, the Trump people don't care about skin color?
So you're saying Trump supporters aren't racist?
No, they're not racist.
Okay.
The ones you've met.
The ones I've met.
The ones you've met.
I was at the same rally you were out here, and it was the most loving, and it was diverse.
It was.
Yeah.
And, when I go to these patriot rallies, people who are supporting Trump, yes, the fact that I'm a very large black man and I'm standing for Trump, yeah, that's obvious. But at the same time, they're looking past that when they actually talk to me. They're saying like, man, you're a good dude. Like, yeah, that's how it should be. I mean, I'm not, judging anyone off the color of their skin. I'm judging off the content of the character.
Amen. Gosh, Gosh darn it, I could hug you right now, but you might get COVID. We got to have social distancing. I don't need Governor Newsom coming in and separating us.
For the record, to our knowledge, none of us at this table have COVID.
Well, we can't. I can't.
I can't.
He's the
I
only
definitely
one.
can.
Yeah, we're done. Like, we're good.
Okay.
So yeah, we're
That's
free,
good to know.
We're free and clear. It's like you already have all STDs, no risk, YOLO.
Yeah.
So on the contrary, and I want to start this with a story. But before then, and we're going to go over it today, Matt, if that's okay.
Yeah.
You're the one who has to edit it.
I'm fine with that.
So we're going to just take
Only thing that struggles with is IGTV, and I don't see that being an issue.
Screw IGTV. So what we're going to do is we're just going to, let's pause it, give our ears a rest, because I want to go into something real quick.
Sounds good.
If you have time?
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm
Let's
good.
keep it
Cool.
going. All right, we've gone over the hour mark, and we don't care, because there's something I want to bring up. Now, I've known the Hodge twins since 2012. Are you familiar with the Hodge twins?
Oh, yeah. I love the Hodge twins. I love the Hodge twins.
They were awesome. They've supported me. They came to the American Grit we talked about that we're never going to talk about again. Premiere party.
But you already talked about it, so.
Damn it. They're good. They're good friends. They're really good friends. I hold them near and dear. And even in 2012, this is before they were political, people were extremely racist online about them. And it was just people like, they'd call them the C word and the N word and the Uncle Tom word.
Yeah.
So
I feel them there.
So that's where I'm going. So now it's actually gotten worse. But the thing I've noticed, and they do incite, it's their thing. They're comedians. That's their job. And they have thick skin. Nothing gets to them.
But they also when they get shamed, when they get shamed like they do, they kind of just have fun with it. Like it's hilarious to them.
They love life. They are really good guys. Like,
exactly.
So I've been asked about the Hodge twins because we used to do a ton of videos together, more times than I can count. And I'm like, they're the same guys I knew in 2012. They've always been conservative. They've always had their beliefs. And did they maybe do it for, more opportunities? Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, it's capitalism, right? I mean, but so you see them, Candace Owens, David, David Harris. You see all these guys.
Yes.
And
love David Harris.
He's a great guy, and they go out and they say their opinion. And I think Candace goes a little hard.
She's very hardcore with it.
But she can do it because she's small and cute.
Yes.
She really is. She's such cute as a button. I mean, I hate saying cute, but she's
beautiful.
Cute.
She's beautiful.
I'm going to say cute. It's cute, but beautiful too. Beautiful in a cute way. Enough about our fascination with Candace Owens' appearance. That just sounds weird, but
right.
So the words I see flying at them from mainly the tolerant left has completely obliterated, because up until around 2017, I truly did believe, and this is me being completely honest, because I was a libertarian up until Gary Johnson showed that libertarians are mostly stupid. Yeah. So I have seen white kids with Black Lives Matter signs call black people the N-word. I've seen the twins called the C word, and there's an animal, a raccoon. I don't know if people know what C word is, but raccoon.
I know what you're talking about.
Short word for raccoon. I don't want to say it because it's wrong, and I shouldn't say it.
No, but the fact, but the bad part about this, when you say the C word, everybody right now knows what it means.
Yeah.
I thought it meant cunt.
Yeah, well, there's that. I mean, that's what I was trying to clarify. I'm like, why would that be a bad black term? So my thing is, now, as a guy who's put himself out there on social media, who's very visible, if you stood in a crowd, people would point you out. What has been the reaction from the left, from the liberal, tolerant community, to you being a free-thinking black conservative?
Yeah. The first thing that kind of comes, granted, I'm reading this differently because of, my job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever someone speaks and granted, it's fair because they look at me and they look at the size of me and they're instantly intimidated. Because it's like, they kind of come to the conclusion, there's no convincing this guy. But then, yes, again, like the Trump rally I went to last week.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was bananas.
It was bananas.
Yeah, because on one side of the street, you had Trump supporters. On the other side of the street, you had Antifa, you had BLM, And the thing is, when they see a black conservative, it confuses them.
Really?
Okay? Yes.
Why would it confuse them? It's a political.
Because of what the media has spun this all into being. Okay, the fact that a lot of these people are 100% saying, "Oh, Trump's a racist." That's the first line they throw out there. Too. The second thing when they see a lot of Trump supporters, they relate them to KKK. And it was so funny because me and a friend of mine, we were like, we didn't know we were part of the KKK. I was like, I didn't know black people was allowed in the KKK. So that must be, I don't know.
Maybe they made an exception.
I guess so. But the first thing that comes, because I've gotten the C word thrown at me several times, and recently it just happened on one of the same interview that I had last week that went on the news.
Okay.
Somebody threw out the C word.
Really?
Threw it out there. And the first thing when I see someone throw that out there is that they're confused, and then they're not understanding why I chose to believe what I believe in, and in their thought process, it's like, oh, it's because you got a lot of white friends, and it's the reason why you're choosing to do this. There's some sort of clear-cut justification on their side that is actually weak convictions because they think it's because of this. That's the reason why we're calling you that.
Yeah.
And when you try to explain to them, like, okay, so you're telling me you would go for somebody who is actually openly racist, versus somebody who is who's been questioned on the subject of racism. Yeah. This guy is actually, Biden is actually racist. I mean, you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, that bothers me. And
it bothers me.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like, again, like I said, the thing that comes to my mind is that they're absolutely confused because they say, oh, because you're a black man, you should understand that black people are being killed by officers on a regular day-by-day basis. And I'm like, and that is crap they see from the media. What I see.
But also, what does that have to do with the president? That seems like a local issue.
You could go to I'm dead serious. You could go to that Zach post on my Facebook and you will see how it came from this guy basically throwing the C word out there to bringing that up. And I'm sitting there, I ask the same question. What's that have to do with what I just said in the video? That has nothing to do with it. But to people who throw the C word at me, they relate the two. And it makes no sense to me whatsoever. I'm sitting there saying, I'm talking about how Trump is a better president versus Biden, but you bring up black people being killed off by police officers, and I've made the comment, what's that have to do with what I just talked about? Like, why are you throwing that out there?
It's funny because I think it has a lot to do with what you talked about in the beginning. It's men doing men shit. My kids and I, now my kids, you've met them. They're blonde white kids. They're as white as you can be. Right. Like they are Brentwood white. And we've already had the conversation. And they're 12 and 7. That if a police officer ever, for any reason, stops and talks to you, you show them respect. You obey their commands, and if they do something wrong, you'll handle it later. And that's something we have a conversation. What I'm seeing is a clown world so insane that we are saying it's okay to charge a cop with a knife. And if he shoots you to protect himself from being killed by some crazy bastard with a knife, that somehow that's a racially motivated act. I guarantee you this. If my 225-pound white ass charges a cop with a knife,
you're going to get shot. I'm
going to get shot at least 15 times, if not more, because guess what? I'm bigger than that guy. It's going to take, what are they shooting, a 9 now? Or at 22, it's going to take me about 42 bullets.
Right.
Okay? They're going to shoot the shit out of me. And they should. You don't charge, even if it's not a cop, you don't charge a person with a firearm with a knife. That's literally bringing a knife to a gunfight.
No, that's exactly what it is.
It's retarded.
If you want a clear-cut definition of what it means to bring a knife to a gunfight, well, there it is.
You don't
the knife did not win in that situation. And granted, I've heard plenty of other stories that. Years ago, I'm not sure where this happened. I heard about it. It was at a Walmart. An officer was called in because there was a individual walking around with a bat threatening to hit people.
Yeah.
The officer approached the situation just like he should have. He approached him, asked him to put down the weapon. The gentleman did not. And not only did he not put down the weapon, he was threatening the officer with it, and the officer had to shoot him.
Yeah.
And so it came out later that he was a schizo. And I mean, it was like, okay, well, I mean, that's well and good. I mean,
unfortunate.
They still need to defend themselves.
But at the same time, he's like, okay, so do you want the officer to sit there and do 21 questions and ask if this guy?
No, that's a social worker's job.
So
Exactly.
I had an older
Exactly.
a guy who used to actually be a good fan of our company. I'll say his name is That Guy Health on Instagram,
Right.
and he blasted me. I had to block him because he kept blasting me everywhere. And then he called
Really?
our customer service and canceled his account with Tiger Fitness. Because I said, look, this event that happened in Philadelphia is extremely unfortunate.
It is.
But you can't, if you come at a cop with a knife, you're going to get shot multiple times. And also, well, why not a taser? Tasers aren't very effective. They're effective like 60% of the time if the guy's wearing clothes. And it's hard to aim compared to a gun.
Okay, and you brought up a good point, and to validate that point, Ray Sharp Brooks in Atlanta, they used a taser and it didn't work. And in fact, the taser was taken from them when they were scuffing with this dude. He took the taser and he was aiming it back at them like this, and then that's how he got shot. And I'm like, he aimed a taser at the officers.
And if you
Not
look
just
at,
that he stole a taser from the
Sorry,
officers.
correct. He stole and then aimed the taser at the officers.
there's a sequence of events, and the thing is, if you watch that video from Philadelphia, they were backing up. Okay, now put yourself, now it's easy to play fucking Monday morning quarterback,
Quarterbacking,
right?
yes.
So you're in a life or death situation. A gentleman, he had mental issues. You don't know that. There's a guy with a knife running at you. You're backing up. You have your right hand, you have your weapon. Your non-shooting hand, you have your taser. Taser is 60%. A gun, I got 9 rounds, 1 in the chamber. I'm ready to rock.
Right.
I'm going for the gun.
Right.
100% of the time. And why 14? Why 14 shots? So how many? 2? 3? I've seen dudes get shot and keep coming.
Okay, here's the thing that I learned learned from taking training this week for armed security. They were saying that whatever force you use has to equal whatever force they use. So that's the reason why the officer pulled the weapon when he had a knife.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they say that, do they just mean weapon to weapon, or does like the grade of weapon depend on the force you use?
Okay, so here's an example here. I saw a video today where 2 officers, poorly out of shape. It was funny actually looking at it. And the situation that happened was that the guy was actually compliant. He was actually laying. By the way, all 3 individuals, including the suspect, were all white. Putting that out there. Okay, so. So the guy was compliant. He actually got on the ground. Here's the thing that happened. The male officer pulled out his handcuffs. He pulled out his handcuffs. He was about ready to apply them. The lady, on the other hand, there was no, we couldn't hear what they were saying, but I can assume that she sat there and said, okay, no, I got it. She pulled out her cuffs. So he put his cuffs back in his pocket or his holster. And so as the lady's sitting here, fumbling with her handcuffs, the individual heard 2 handcuffs come out. And so then at that point, he decided to resist. And that's what happened. He started to resist. He started to fight these guys. And granted, both the male officer and the female officer were both really out of shape, overweight.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy could have literally broke and ran. And granted, it was at night, and I'm pretty sure he's familiar with the area. So he could have just ran off into the woods and it would have been a done deal. They wouldn't be able to catch this guy. But he fought with these 2 officers. And then the guy got up and was going to approach them aggressively again. Keep in mind, he doesn't have a weapon in his hand at all. Mm-hmm. Okay. The lady automatically, as she was trying to reach for a taser, she couldn't get it out of her holster. She reaches for a firearm, shoots the guy. Now, to add to your point, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because the guy did not have a weapon at all.
No.
Okay.
But the cops are so. But here's my question though. Women can't be cops then.
No, that's not true. They can be cops, but the situation here, the situation here that I'm talking about is the lack of training.
Lack of training, yeah, but I would say that even unless it's like, you got a well-trained MMA fighting female, like generally speaking, a dude's going to overpower her. I mean, that's my argument for not using a gun, is that it eradicates the chance of women who have less physical trained. They don't have to meet the physical guidelines men do, which is absurd.
It is.
It is absurd. Combat does not give a fuck whether you have a vagina or a penis.
No. And trust me, and work in security, I've been attacked. I've been attacked by a female.
And they claw. But
you trust me, I've had a heel stomped into my back. It's not. And
So-
I was so pissed. Like, I was like, why did you stomp that heel into my back?
I'd be pissed too.
I'm pretty mad. I'm surprised it didn't penetrate. I mean,
But to that point, what I was saying with him is that it was wrong for the officers, or for the female officer, to have shot this guy, because this guy does not have a weapon. Mm-hmm. The taser should have been used. The taser should have been the option to have used, because again,
I agree with that.
That's what she was reaching for, but because and then granted, my instructor kind of threw the backstory into it.
Wait, so that's what she was reaching for? She didn't realize, oh shit, it's a gun, and put it back?
No, she couldn't.
No.
She couldn't get out of her holster.
This is the backstory I'm about to go into.
Got it.
Apparently, this department had only had 1 day of taser training, so it was fairly new to them.
Crazy.
And because she wasn't comfortable using the taser, that's why she went to the firearm, something that was guaranteed to work.
I'm with you. 100%. 100%.
So that is so when we saw that video, I was like, well, that was wrong for her to pull out her firearm and just boom, shoot this guy. Yeah. And I'm like, and then it was like the other officer, the other male officer, he pulls his firearm out. I'm like, why are you guys pulling out your guns right now? Like, this guy has not proven himself to have any sort of deadly
I'm
force.
guessing they already patted him. And they already
they already patted him because he was
already on the ground.
He was already compliant at the beginning.
Did you see the Rogan episode with Jocko? And Jocko went into the fact that for like a 6-day mission, they do like 20 months of training as SEALs. Like, it's insane. Or for like every 36 hours, there's like 3 years. Yeah. Cops literally get 3 months. And then they get some bullshit refresher courses. A cop should literally spend, in my opinion, an average of at least a full day every 2 weeks doing training. Yeah. I'm talking from de-escalation. This is where I agree with the Democrats a little bit. The Democrats are a little more outspoken on, now they're gone full crazy in the whole like defunding and stuff. But this is where I could see there being compromise. And that's where both sides are stupid, because nobody wants to talk. Somebody from the Republican side needs to be like, hey guys, check it. We understand. We don't think we need to defund. We think we need to retrain.
Yes.
And we need to institute the fact. We need to federally make it a law, and we need to or pressure the states to do it, where you put in, like, for example, do you have any training certifications?
I have my unarmed security license and
personal training.
Personal training. No.
Okay.
You said certifications.
So personal training. Let's say you're NAFA or AFA or NAFTA, whatever the fuck it is.
ISSA.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to do your continuing education, CECs. Mm-hmm. So I have to take, for example, when I was giving a shit about it, I did an extra class for Bosu Ball. I went and did this for Exos. I have to do a certain amount of trainings. So cops go out there and they're unequipped for the situations they handle. And it's not their fault. These people just want to go to work and they want to spend time with their kids. It's unfortunate that I, as a private citizen, probably have more combat firearms training than most police officers. Yeah. And the reason is that we don't need to defund the police. We need to fund more training for the police.
I agree. And I actually have friends that are officers now that are pretty good physical shape, and they actually do training, physically, and they do spend time on the firing range as well, because they, coming from the fact that, they train and they work out, they understand the importance of what training does as far as it relates to being what they do.
Jiu-jitsu, boxing, things like that. Jiu-jitsu would probably be better because boxing, you're just
my cousin, he owns a jiu-jitsu gym in New York, Black Hole Mayapack, and he gets he's a police officer. He gets contracted by the state of New York to train defense tactics.
That's
DT.
awesome.
And that needs to be, that needs to happen more. Honestly.
Every single department needs to have training in how to disarm, how to de-escalate, and that's where we're failing.
And here's the thing. Here's an interesting thought. And I'm not sure if everybody's going to agree with this, but me having worked at nightclubs a lot, our first thing before we even kick someone out is that we have to de-escalate. That's the first thing we go to, because 90% of the time we can de-escalate the situation. Everybody's cool. You can go back having a good time. I can go back to doing my job. Boom, it's over. You know? And me having done security, I've been forced to deal with that a lot, because you do work with a lot more lot more of the public than what an officer might see on their shift, because you might have to de-escalate a situation once every 40 minutes. Because when you're in a club full of people, you're going to have issues.
And drunks and boobies.
Yeah, well, lots of boobies.
Lots of boobies. I love boobies.
Yeah, and
boobies are awesome.
Boobies are
and then you have the creepers that come by, and then you have the girl that's like,
that'd be us. Oh, Mark came by the club.
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, this guy over here just won't leave you alone. And I'm like, sir, listen, I know you're having a good time, but she's not feeling you. Okay. So if you keep bothering her, I'm gonna have to kick you out. Okay.
That's the
escalation right there.
And you know what's and I don't want to say this. I don't want to mean this in a demeaning manner, but you're basically you're protecting and securing nightclubs, and you probably have more de-escalation training than a lot of people who are tasked with protecting our streets.
And that's the interesting
That's not
thing.
the cops' fault.
No, it's not. It's not their fault, but that's the reason why they definitely need more training as far as on everything. Now, the officers in Atlanta, they did a great job in attempting to de-escalate. They were basically with this guy for almost 2 hours.
It didn't work.
It didn't work,
and they still got rioted on.
But
I mean, it did.
But when it first happened, what did everybody see? Everybody saw the last few seconds of that whole situation. But when the body cam footage came out, you saw 2 hours of these guys trying to de-escalate this situation, trying to get this man off the roads. Because what would have happened is that when people see the officers and they know off the top of their head, like, okay, I know I got some warrants. Like, I know I got some warrants, and they get scared. And so what would have happened with that guy, Rayshard Brooks, is that, yes, he would have been taken away in handcuffs, but chances are that he would have been put in a cell to dry out because he was over intoxicated. And the whole idea would have been to get the whole thing is to get him off the road, because
that's why they call them drunk tanks,
right? Because if he had stayed on the road, if they had let him go, which would have been a horrible idea, which everybody was saying, why didn't they just let him go and then just come back and arrest him later? Well, because it's Atlanta, number one. Number two, you have accidents there almost every day. And then you add this guy into it. There's a chance that he could kill somebody in an accident. And then how long would it take for them to have realized he was at the Burger King parking lot sleeping? In the Burger King drive-thru sleeping. And the officers approached him and they said he was over intoxicated, but they let him go. Yeah,
it's a lose-lose situation,
right? But
there's no way they could have won.
But what I'm saying is that again, when the first officer was there, he tried to de-escalate. He tried to work, and they were real polite with the guy. There was no hint of racism,
not at all.
No. They were basically doing their jobs, and what they did was the shooting was the absolute last resort they had to resort to end the conflict. But again, that is what the whole world saw. There were two guys that were standing there in the parking lot who saw the tail end of that situation, immediately sat there, why'd you shoot that man? Bro, you racist, bro. You racist, bro. I'm like...
Again, it's just like the thing in Philadelphia. I really hate when that word is overused because it lessens the impact of what it should be, and that should be
kind of the same way the N word and the C word are being used, and they're both being lessened right now.
And honestly, we just need to. I like going, well, black people saying in hip hop music, dude, shut up. Just don't. That's not a. That's
I was raised to not use the N word.
I don't use it. I don't want to use it. Like, it's like, well, can we use? I'm like, why do you want to use that?
Exactly.
It's a dirty word. Look. I don't like it. Like, I'll joke around. I'll say kike once in a while, but I don't say it regularly.
How dare you?
But it's not. But let's be real here. In America, the K word is not the N word. It's such a bullshit word.
It is.
And like, we own Hollywood. So just to end this on a good note,
okay.
You're local, so I'd love to have you here again. You have an open invitation.
Definitely.
There's all you can outright bars. I got fish and steak in the fridge where we'll feed you. But speaking of feeding you, people are going to ask this. They're going to be like, why didn't you ask me this? What do you eat? What's your typical day of eating? You're 295 pounds. Your arm is bigger than my thigh. And I'm not exactly a small man. Like, what the fuck
you're
are
not.
you eating? What are you eating? Because we all need to eat more of it.
Let's see. I'm eating oats, drinking little small cartons of egg whites because those are 50 grams of protein. I'm chicken, broccoli, sweet potatoes. I'll eat some red meat, like some steak or some burgers. See, and considering that right now I'm kind of in off season, I kind of have at least one muffin a day. So.
Muffin? What kind of muffin?
Blueberry.
That's a good choice. You a top or a bottom guy? That's honestly, I don't want you on top. Just to be honest,
You would break him.
You heard what Mark Bell said about you.
Oh no, I heard what both y'all said about
He's
me.
like, imagine the dick on that guy. I'm like,
okay, let me just say this.
oh,
that
clarify. Is he going to show it?
let me just say this
Show us your
because
face, Clayton.
how I found out about that whole podcast, like I was at work and one of my good friends texted me and he's like, hey, you might want to scroll to this part of the video because they're talking about you. I saw you in the video and this was just after meeting you for the first time a few days before in Franklin. I was like, I just know where this is going. But let's just go ahead and watch it anyways.
And you still chose to come on this podcast.
I did not bring up your penis at all. I didn't. I didn't fight it.
It was. It was.
You'd lose that fight.
Mark Bell out of nowhere goes. I'm like, yeah, he's a big guy. He's strong. You should have him on your podcast. Mark Bell goes.
Imagine the dick on that guy.
Did you see the look on my face? I
saw the look on your face. You were kind of just
I didn't know what to do.
It was the way he was looking on his face is how a football player fumbles and they're trying to scramble and catch the bar. That's what his face looked like.
Tom Brady thinking it's down the third down instead of fourth. Yes. Yeah, that's same line.
I mean, Tom Brady's the one guy.
But when I watched it, I died laughing.
It was
hilarious. The guy was I was like, this is hilarious to me. Like, I was dying laughing when he mentioned that part. Imagine the dick on that guy.
Did you get a little bump in? Mark Bell got a following, man. I'm hoping you got a little bump in followers there, man.
Well, here's the thing was like, when that video came out, my Instagram got throttled because I would get messages from people saying, well, they can't see every post. They will only see certain things like my training stuff, but wouldn't see my conservative posts. And then it was like a week later, my Facebook that I've had since 2007, boom, got deleted.
So we got you shadow banned and banned in. I blame Mark Bell.
I'm not sure if that was the case, but I mean, it did help my following, but it was just like, and then when I started my new Facebook, I had to repost that video again. Just so everybody knows, okay, this is me. This is my new account. Proof is this is the same video I posted like a week and a half ago. So
there are worse things to be known as the guy with the big dick. There are way worse things to be known as. I mean,
I loved it. It was hilarious. I wish
someone would spread a rumor about me having a big dick. Hey man, have you seen Lobliner's dick?
But what did you expect when you had me on here and it was like, okay, they've got to bring up the whole big dick situation that Mark Bell brought up.
It's not on the list. It's not on my list.
No, but it was just when people watched this, they're like, okay, are they going to talk about what Mark Bell brought up in that podcast?
I waited till an hour and 27 minutes in to bring it up. to bring it up. I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, Curt, where can they find you, brother?
Let's see. I mean, as far as
Where can they find you on social media? And I heard you got a new sponsorship too. That's awesome. Let's know about that.
Yes, with Chaos Nutrition.
Awesome.
I just picked him up, and the owner, the guy that owns it, had actually been following a lot of my conservative posts and loved every bit of it.
Awesome. He's a friend of ours. Tell him to get in touch with Tiger Fitness.
Hell yeah, cool deal.
We're always looking for good brands and good people.
Definitely, and I'll definitely link you guys up. He, like I say, he liked a lot of my conservative posts, and he said I thought it'd be a great fit for the team, and then I eventually joined up. My Instagram is Curt.the.Hulkzilla on Instagram. My Facebook, however, it was I'm having to use my middle name, Leon Dennis, because I did not want to be shadow banned again. So that is my Facebook name, but that's my middle name.
Got it.
But yeah, that's my name on Facebook. I do have a podcast.
Okay.
I'll be doing a new one this weekend. I haven't done one for a while, but everything's been kind of personalized. I've been having to deal with, but I'll be back doing a podcast this weekend. And the link to that podcast is on my Instagram. I've also been playing with the idea of doing a YouTube channel, so that'll be coming down the pipe pretty soon.
All right, cool. And all those will be linked down below in the description box on YouTube, on Spotify. They do have a description. We'll do it. I don't know if you can link from those, but we'll try.
I don't know. We'll link it everywhere we can.
We'll link it everywhere we can.
I do have a link on the link to my podcast via Spotify, so I can definitely get you that.
Awesome. That's perfect. Well, thank you guys.
And also, not to mention, I do have my own clothing line.
We'll link that too. We'll put that down below.
The Instagram account for that one is the.hulk.crew.
And beard privilege shirts coming soon.
Yeah,
beard privilege. Yes, I would be going home. I'll be going home tonight to actually work on that. So that will be my next assignment.
I need one of those.
I got you.
All right. So anything, just again, be sure to follow Curt, and we appreciate you guys watching. This is the GainzCast. We talk about all things gains: political, business, lifestyle, and of course, muscular. We'll see you guys next time.
Later.